Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tips and Trades brought to you by Centimetre Perfect. That is Jesse. I am Liam, and we are back to tip round 12 action in the AFL Premiership season. You can find us at CMPerfect_AFL for our main podcast on Apple, Amazon, and Spotify. Obviously, right here on YouTube, where you're joining us now. Hello. And then on Instagram, where I post from time to time. I'm getting better at that. So come and join us over there as well. Jesse, how are you feeling about this week's tips, mate? Only 7 games. The buys are about. How are you feeling?
Nervous, Liam. Always nervous when we get into the buy rounds. I feel like this becomes the real moving day for our tips and trades, given the importance of maximising our confidence points. We don't have any big swings, but if we get our swings wrong, things can start to go pretty awry for our competition. So very much tepid coming in, and not even to mention my level of tippedness going into fantasy, because the buy rounds are going to wreak havoc, as is Lockie Whitfield's hamstring. Thanks for that, Lockie.
I've never actually heard you so timid coming to a tips and trades, Jesse. You seem very, very timid. My goodness me. Normally you're up and about, but I guess there's some
Brisbane GWS will do that to me.
Yes. So, I mean, on that, Jesse, would you like to explain how confidence points works for those who may not have watched our tipping before?
Most certainly. So in our tipping competition, myself, Liam, and the robot Vin tip on confidence points. So in this week, where there is only 7 games, we assign a weighting of points to the teams we are most confident to least confident. So the team we are expecting to win the most will get 7 points. The team we still think will win, but we're a little bit nervous about, will get 1. Can't repeat your points, have to use them all. Whoever has the most amount of points at the end of the season will be the winner of this competition. You do not need the most amount of tips, just the most amount of points.
Now, Jesse was talking about that Brisbane GWS game, and, we put a lot of confidence points on Brisbane winning that. You went the full shebang. It was the first time this season that a full 9-pointer has gone to the bin. With that said, Jesse, these are the kind of weeks we don't laugh at Vin, because here's the scores. Vin actually got a win on us this week. Look at him go. He's reached the 300. 29 for Vin, taking him to 301, still trailing us by quite some margin, though.
I think that's your commentary of this week in a nutshell. For regular viewers, that's your commentary of this week.
The fact that Vin won, it doesn't happen. I think it's happened. That's the second time this year it's happened. 25 for you, taking you to 342. I'm still holding my lead.
In the city to Hobart, when the gale force wind comes in and blows all the really fast yachts out, and they end up in Esperance. That's kind of what's happening.
That's quite the wind, Jesse. It's quite the wind. 24 for me, so I am still holding my lead. 6 points on you, Jesse, but I was the loser of this week, but that's okay. I can afford it. Now, we are now moving into the tipping itself, Jesse. We're going to start off with Thursday night. Here we go.
St Kilda hosting Hawthorn at Marvel Stadium to kick off our first bye round. The Saints will be looking to get back in the winners column after a disappointing loss to the Dockers, while Hawthorn will be up and about after their win against the Crows down in Launceston and will be much more grateful to be playing under a roof compared to their conditions 7 days prior.
Oh, it's cold. All right, Jesse, we'll start with Vin as we always do because he is coming last. Vin has gone Hawthorn with 5 points over St Kilda. The analysis that he has provided, I'm staying on the Hawks train. Their pressure and transition game has held up for 2 months now. Saints are competitive, but Hawthorn's ceiling is clearly higher. Hard to argue with that. Jesse, how do you see it, though?
It's terrifying when I see it through the lens of the robot. Hawthorn with 5 for pretty much what Vin has said. Hawthorn have convinced
It's getting better.
Yeah, it is. That's a worry for the rest of our lives. Look, I think Hawthorn are just a better side, simply put. I don't have faith in St Kilda. Nothing that we saw from them on Friday night in person convinced me of them, and I've seen both these teams pretty close up recently from behind the goal, so I kind of get a feel for where they're at. I just think Hawthorn can inflict more pain than the Saints can, and I don't know if St Kilda can shut down the Hawks in the same way they can against maybe sides a bit lower down the ladder than them.
3 for 3, Jesse. I've also gone the Hawks with 5 as well. I'm going to say copy and paste everything that you and Vin have said. I think the Hawks will be just too good for the Saints here. Let's move on to the next one.
Friday night footy sees Carlton hosting Geelong at the MCG. The Fraser Fiesta runs into its toughest challenge yet at the end of an up-and-about Geelong side who will be looking to stamp their authority and bridge up towards a top 2 spot.
Now, the confidence points are one of those things. Like if the team that you've gone hard on confidence-wise loses, that's when it gets really messy, right? I am wondering how different we are going to be this week across the board. That said, Vin has gone Geelong with 6. Carlton have improved slightly from early disaster stretch. That is true. Geelong's system is still much more reliable, and the Cats are playing like a genuine top 4 side. Also true. Thank you, Vin. Jesse, how are you seeing it?
Geelong with the full 7 for me. If I'm calling this team the best team in the competition, they should be able to deal with a team in the bottom 4. That's the long and the short of this logic. Carlton have improved in the last 2 weeks. Sure, I don't think Geelong at the MCG is a problem. I don't think Geelong against Mark Pittonet is a problem. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, they'll be fine. Geelong with 7. We'll toss up between this and another game where I put my full 7, but yeah, this one should be very, very easy for the Geelong Cats. And I've said that. I've jinxed us. It would be, look, listen, we shouldn't discount what Fraser's done here, like with the Carlton Blues. Like, he's undefeated, Jesse.
I mean, it has been a fortnight.
Can Chris Scott say that he's undefeated? No, he can't. There's a cross there. So there you go. Full 7 on the Cats. Full 7.
You idiot, just move the slide.
Next game, here we go.
Sydney hosting Richmond at the SCG on Saturday morning. The Swans had their feathers ruffled down in the Cattery, while the Tigers roared the most when Dreamtime Heat was on. A battle of two sides at opposite ends of the ladder, but with plenty to prove as they push towards their respective endpoints of season 2026.
Vin has gone Sydney over Richmond with the full 7. Unsurprisingly, this is the safest pick on the board, he says. Sydney have been one of the 2 most consistent teams all season. Hard to argue with the win-loss record. Richmond still lack depth and defensive stability. SCG mismatch. Even though he didn't need to, he still put in the home side at hometown advantage, Jesse. Loves it. What do you reckon?
Vin, the Vic Bias advocate, strikes once again. Look, I'm Sydney with 6. They really shouldn't be losing this game. They're 9-2. Their opponents are 2-9. This is Mount Buller for Sydney. This is an absolute birthday for the downhill skiers.
Yeah, Sydney with 6. Could have been 7, but, other games exist. They shouldn't lose this to the Richmond Tigers. If they did, strike a line through them, Jesse. They're done. They won't, though. It's fair to say. Let's move on to the next one.
Huge game in the context of the top 6 coming up here. Brisbane hosting Fremantle at the Gabba. The Lions were washed away by the tsunami on Sunday by the Giants, while Fremantle stood tall to hit a club record 10 at the bounce. They'll want to make that a club record 11 at the hands of a foe that dismantled them in season 2025.
Let's just keep setting a new record every week, Jesse. They'll do fantastic. I quite like seeing that little first next to the Freo Dockers there in the graphic. Thank you very much. Jesse, Vin, he loves the Freo Dockers, doesn't he? He loves them.
He is a roller, that boy.
He is a roller. He is a rocker. He's gone 4 points on the Dockers over Brisbane. This is one aggressive play, he said. Okay, nice. Normally, I would avoid tipping against Brisbane at the Gabba. But
this bloke at his home ground.
But Fremantle have looked like the most complete side in football lately. The midfield balance is elite, and Brisbane haven't been dominant enough to justify automatic home trust. The home trust he's given to other teams where he really shouldn't have. And this is the one where he's just like, no, do you know why? Loves Freo.
He tipped Port at Adelaide Oval against Geelong, but he's like, this is where I draw the line. Not for my beloved purples.
Oh, and he's capped it off with, if Freo win this, you can gain ground on a lot of people. I'm not sure what that means, but thank you very much, Vin. Jesse, what do you reckon?
Look, I'm Freo with 3. Very aware of the fact that Brisbane are a very good side. But this is right place, right time for the Dockers. And Sydney have benefited from this a lot this season as well. I think Freo are about to benefit from this too. They are finding the Lions at the perfect opportunity. There will be a real sense of disappointment if they can't capitalise on a Lions side in a bit of a tailspin. 8-day break versus 6-day break. A lot of things lining up for the Dockers here. I expect them to win.
I've got Freo as well, just with 1, because I am wary.
Because you're a Freo supporter.
Yeah, correctly. I know where my bread's buttered. Look, I think the Lions are not far away from working out what they're doing wrong or getting some of that energy back. I'm not too sure if there's something going on behind the scenes that's causing them to play with such lethargy, but they're not far away from figuring that out. And if it's again, and it wouldn't surprise me if it was this week. That said, I still think the Freo, hopefully, like you've said, right place, right time, it can get it done. Would love that. But I'm just not as confident as you. Jesse, let's move on to the next game.
The Western Bulldogs host Collingwood at Marvel Stadium on Saturday night. The Dogs showed they were bark as well as bite with a gritty win over the Demons, while the Magpies were able to swoop on the Eagles in Scott Pendlebury's historic milestone game.
Vin, he's up. He's gone Collingwood over the Bulldogs with 3. This is mostly an injury/fatigue fade on the Dogs again. Bulldogs still don't look fully healthy and stable structurally. Collingwood are inconsistent, but still have the higher end experience. Lowish confidence because both teams are volatile. Very good. Thank you, Vin. Jesse, what do you reckon?
On Dogs with 1, I'm extremely concerned about Jamie Elliott's ACL and how it's going to disrupt the forward line for the Magpies because they're not a scoring team as it is, and he is arguably their most valuable offensive weapon. So I'm timidly going with the Dogs. Would not be talked out of a tip for Collingwood. However, I'm alarmed and I need to see Collingwood without Elliott before shaping up where I think they're at for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, understandable. I've gone Bullies with 2. So again, quite low confidence because these teams, who knows what's going to get served up. I actually did my tips Sunday because I thought I'd be too busy today. I did change that this morning based on the result from yesterday. I think the Bulldogs can. Yeah, I think the Bulldogs can show they can play now with their injury list being what it is. And the Magpies, as I've said all season, I'm just not overly convinced by them. So I think it's going to be a close one. This should be a good game, but the Bulldogs for me with 2 confidence points. Jesse, in the next one.
Melbourne hosting Greater Western Sydney at TIO Stadium in Alice Springs. Our Northern Territory jaunt continues in 2026. This time, it's the Demons dragging up the Giants. It was a disappointing result for Melbourne against the aforementioned Dogs at the weekend, while the Giants recorded a record and shocking win over the Lions. They'll be looking to parlay that to jumpstart what has been an ailing season to the halfway point.
Vin's up here. He's got Melbourne over GWS with the 2 confidence points. This feels like a classic, solid but dangerous game. Melbourne are usually trustworthy enough defensively, but GWS are exactly the kind of side that can randomly explode. Case in point, last week. Jesse, what do you reckon?
I'm also Melbourne with 2. I'm a little bit standoffish after the fact they lost to the Dogs, but they are a better side than the Giants from what we've seen this season, and I do think they play Alice quite well. Yeah.
Melbourne with 3 for me again. I don't know if last week was a little blip. They've been playing some very good football. The Giants have not. They had a really good win last week. And also, Jesse, as I mentioned in the main podcast, win-loss, win-loss, win, a loss. The trend shall continue. It has done. If I went back to the last, I think 5-6 games, that pattern goes all the way back through. So it's just in the stars, Jesse. They're bound to lose this one. I should have gone the full 7, but I didn't. Let's go, Jesse, to the last game of the round.
West Coast hosting Essendon at Optus Stadium on Sunday night. The Eagles will be feeling much better about their last fortnight, having gotten a win and a good performance against the record-breaking Pies, while the Bombers have been nothing but horrid this season, sans a shock win against the Demons.
I'm looking at our points, Jesse, because I'm writing these down as I go, and I'm very excited. I think we've both done the exact same thing, which is very exciting for us and our feelings on the Eagles. But we start with Vin. Vin has gone West Coast with just the 1. The first little things he's contributed here is this is ugly. But
thanks, Vin.
But Essendon is still 1-10 with major structural issues, and Optus Stadium, there it is again, generally changes things for West Coast. Lowest confidence because neither side deserves trust. Wow. Thank you, Vin, but kind of true. Jesse, what do you reckon?
Apologies to both fan bases. Actually, only to 1. I'm West Coast with 4. I have confidence in the Eagles. I have absolutely, unquantifiably no faith in the Bombers.
Yeah, copy paste. I've gone the Eagles with 4 as well. I don't think I've done the graphic for West Coast with 4 yet. I said 1 and 2, but it's going to be really good for us to get to watch this game and hopefully see the Eagles really pull through. It's going to be a packed Optus. I think the Eagles fans are always going to come out for their team, even more so when they're winning. Hopefully, fingers crossed for them, they can pull one out of the bag against the Bombers. Jesse, that is our tips done for round 12. That just leaves our fantasy. How did you feel about fantasy last week?
Not good, Liam.
Yeah, no, me either.
I had 3 players combined for 3 points.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Did one of them get 3 and the other ones didn't get any?
Yep.
Yeah,
so Murray got 3 despite having about 80% game time, having got 91 the previous week. So that was great. And then Broome was a laid out. I didn't have a playing mid emergency. And then Whitfield was a laid out. And actually, that's not fair. I got Yulin's 49 as a defensive emergency. So that was great.
I got that too, yeah.
Okay. And I still managed to beat you. You suck.
Honestly, like I was looking at my team this week and I was like, why isn't anyone scoring points, please? More points now. But I actually got burnt this week, and I've said it for like the last little bit that I was going to start working on my bench. I got done this week.
It hurt me this week too.
Yeah, I got absolutely done. I had like no one playing on my bench. The only one was Euland. And, great.
Well, I was in the middle of doing cash gen, and I had to field Iceland this week. So had I not had to do that, I could have covered Bruins out, and it would have been okay.
That's right. I didn't have him either. That's right. Oof, rubbish. Anyway, so you're all right. I did still lose to you. Here are the scores from last week. 1844 for me, taking me to 19559. Wasn't terrible. It's only 33 points. 1877 for you, taking you to 20,327. Jesse, you have a stranglehold on our fantasy competition, at least between us. How did you fare against your opponent?
Horribly.
Not very well. Oh, well, maybe if I just give you the rights. There we go. Horribly, Jesse, you say. Well,
good old-fashioned pantsing that.
Yeah, you got done. I mean, I wasn't too bad against Lockie Neal's Testicles, I think the name is called. Great name for a footy team. Fantastic. I beat them earlier in the year. Not so much this one here, I don't think, but that's okay. Going down 1844 to 1916. You got pants.
Yeah, I got belted. I got a proper. I had a guy with no outs and a VC loop on merit, so I knew I was in trouble from about the Saturday morning.
Just didn't check in for the rest of the week. You're like, oh,
yeah, pretty much. I was like, I'm not competitive. Stuff this.
You can't handle that, Jesse. You need to be competitive or you're not interested, and I understand it. I get it. Here is our ladder. Here we go. So D's FC still maintains top position with 10 wins and 1 loss. Hey, it's the Freo. The Dons are doing the Freo. Flip reverse it. Not much change there for the rest of the ladder. Harry Cheesel's moved up a smidge. High Energy has moved down. And then we go down to the bottom end of the ladder where we sit. I have not moved. I'm still sitting in 18th spot, holding that down like a fortress. You've dropped from 10th to 11th, now down to 13th, mate. What's going on?
And I don't like my chances this week either. I will be very upfront on that. I think I'm having the visitors draw at the moment.
Well, it is. We'll get to this in a second. Our tactics for this week coming into the first round of buys. Here is our top 20. I had to do a bit weird because there was like so many people who were ninth. I didn't want to kind of split them up, but Zach Merritt up top, Jordan Dawson, Phoenix Gothard. Who's got him? Who's got him? I'm sure quite a few people. Any surprises in our top 20 this week, Jesse?
No, I'm completely unsurprised that O'Sullivan got in the week after I traded him for Roberts, who got 106, and also fielded Whitfield, who didn't play. That was great. Redmond, it helps when you don't share the ball. You get a lot of free touches.
True.
I think that pretty much sums it up. Humphreys was huge as well.
Excuse me, when was the last time you saw Josh Tracy in the top 20?
That's true, actually. That is an enormous effort from the big kahuna.
The big kahuna, he's a beast, that man. He's a beast. But yeah, nothing too much to say about the top 20. A lot of names you expect to see in there. But Jesse, we're coming into the buy round. So what are your thoughts for your strategies? Obviously, have you looked ahead? Are you planning ahead? Because we've got 4 rounds of buys coming up.
Mm-hmm. I am.
What are you doing?
I've got a couple of plans. This week, I need to wait until tomorrow to decide what I'm going to do this week. But the plan is obviously, guys like McAndrew will have to go. I can't have a non-playing ruck in my team, so McAndrew will have to go. He's been a great soldier. But I'm thinking Rowan Marshall or Darcy Cameron is the players I'm looking at in that regard. That's current. That could obviously change. But I also need to figure out, well, if Whitfield's not playing on Friday, he needs to be dropped out as well. So if I have to go 18 and have Worrell as a non-player, I can cop that. But that will depend on Whitfield as well, because I can't have a guy on 1.05 not playing. So, but also not enamored by who else I've got available, like maybe Sinclair against the Hawks, but I'm not overly enthralled by that. So we will see. Actually, yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one for defenders this week. Apart from Archie Roberts, who, well, if he gets the Milan Murdoch tag, that's going to be a problem. But if he doesn't, he could have 180. Interesting week for fantasy coming up.
I've made a couple of changes already, and I'm now starting to focus on my bench, trying to spread the love a little bit across there. And I didn't really want to drop, because I've got 2, obviously Butters and Cheezel are 2 midfielders that are not playing this week, but I didn't want to just drop them just to bring them back in next week. Wouldn't have made a lot of sense. So I've chosen this week to change my 2 midfielders out that were in my reserves because they were both injured. And so I brought in a couple of young guns, young mids. Ison and Banfield I've brought in. Okay. Cheap, pretty good. Should give me pretty decent scores, hopefully in return.
Banfield's dual though, isn't he?
Banfield is dual, yes.
Yeah, okay. Because that's also factoring into my plans for my backline nightmare.
Ooh, how fun. But there's going to be an interesting week. I think in the bye rounds, only the top 18 get points, Jesse. So we'll see how that all plays out. But that's it, Jesse. Nothing more to add. Done. Send the lovely people home.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Let us know your thoughts on the round ahead and your fantasy picks. Until next time, I'm Jesse. That's Liam. This is the Centimetre Perfect AFL podcast.
Bye, everybody.